Hey, little lady. You trying to go out for dinner? All right, bro. I am ready whenever you are. So, did you want to do like an intro or anything for this episode, or did you just want to get into it?
Well, let's do an intro.
Today we're gonna be
Go ahead. Go ahead. Do an intro.
Today we're going to be reacting to the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. This is
You should probably say the name of the podcast. Two Bros Chillin'.
welcome to the Two Bros Chillin' podcast.
Welcome to Two Bros Chilling.
Today we're going to be reacting to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's trial. This is the day one of stop drinking like that.
What? Like what?
Those little half sips you do all the time. That little like gulp. No, it's not even that. It's like you take a sip, you rock the bottle back and forth. Like instead of just pouring it into your mouth, you're like trying to like create a wave. So hold on, let me finish. Today was day one of Amber Heard's testimony, and we are going to be reacting to it. Okay, that's
Oh, you don't like turbulence with your water?
No.
That sucks. You should try it.
So I'm just gonna let you do. Okay, so I'll just let you know. Like the first 10 minutes, she's just rambling about like her life. The first 10 minutes is excruciatingly boring.
So how recent is this video? Like, is this?
This is posted today.
Is this? So this is still ongoing.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Like this video that we're watching is from today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wow.
Will you please state your
And just so
name?
I have all the details right,
Amber Laura
he's
Heard.
suing
And what is
her
your
for defamation?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what. So this isn't about. I don't think this is technically about like abuse or anything. I think this is
That's
about.
all her lawyers are making it about. That's why I was so confused. I'm like, I thought this was his lawsuit, and then her lawyers are just like, he beats her and he hit her with a potato and like just weird shit.
No. I'm pretty sure this is 100% about defamation. But there's 50 mil on the line. So, you know what someone pointed out in the comments? I didn't watch any of the actual testimony on Johnny Depp's behalf, but when he would talk, he would look like at the person that asked him a question. If you watch her, she spends her entire explanation talking like off to the side to the jury.
Or like looking around.
Yeah.
Like
to sit here. And what did your mom do?
She worked for the state of Texas.
Let me just, since you talked about the breaking horses, can you just tell the jury what your role is in assisting your dad on that and what is involved in breaking horses?
So I think what they're trying to do, and it gets more prevalent, more obvious.
I was gonna say, what does the lawsuit have anything to do with her raising horses?
It doesn't. I think this entire thing, and you kind of right around the 8-minute mark. I'll point it out a few seconds before they get to it. Right around the 8-minute mark, you're kind of like, oh, I see what they're doing. They're trying to paint this picture of Amber, right?
Objection leading.
So right around the 8-minute mark.
Can you just tell me about?
Overruled. You just got to stay on.
Are those
basically.
her lawyers that keep trying to
I would help them.
object to
I was more
the
of a-
judge's questions?
No. So right now, Amber
I don't
Heard's-
understand courts too well. Not when it comes to stuff like this.
So to start off with, so like for the probably, obviously today and like the next day or two, it's probably going to be her lawyers talking to her. So right now, her lawyers are the ones asking the questions, and Johnny Depp's lawyers are the ones objecting. And when they get when they refer to cross-examination, that's when Johnny Depp's lawyers start asking her questions and all of this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, it's Amber Heard and her team going back and forth. So they're trying to like paint a picture, basically.
Mm-hmm.
A crash test dummy. You know, when you train a horse, it's a wild animal. It doesn't necessarily like to be ridden. And there are people out there who are crazy enough, like my dad, to pick that as a profession, I guess. And he was really good with horses, and I was the son he never had, so it was my job to, stay on.
And what, if anything, did you learn from your father about how to react to the horses?
Well, with training horses, I guess the key things are to not show fear, not get intimidated, not show fear, be tough and calm.
These are life lessons that she's talking
Tell
about.
the jury a little bit about your educational background during those growing up years and your work experience.
I worked any job that I could from the time I was really young. I wanted to get out of Texas and do something with my life and see things and do things. So I was in school and really pushed myself to, I just always pushed myself to be able to accelerate the process. I wanted to, get out of school as fast as I could.
answer.
I wanted to do
Where
more
did you
things with my
go?
life than stay
Where
in
did you
Texas.
work?
So what types of things, so where did you go to school when you were younger?
I was a scholarship kid at a Catholic school growing up, several different Catholic schools, but they were always in the other, on the other side of town, in the wealthier part of town. And I grew up quite working class.
This is where we started to get into that whole like painting a picture thing, where like you're kind of like, I see what they're doing now.
And thankfully with, as long as I maintained an A average, I enjoyed the benefit of a scholarship, and I did that until I realized that I could take my GED and SATs early, and I did that and placed out of school and effectively left school at 16 years old, I believe.
And what did you do for work during those younger years?
I took any job that I could. I worked at my father's construction company, sometimes, just administrative stuff. I mean, it was a small company. But I answered phones, and I worked at a modeling agency that was also, offered photography classes, makeup classes, hair and makeup classes for people that were pursuing a career in entertainment. And I started taking classes that I paid for by working there, effectively as a trade. And I eventually worked there long enough to be able to pay for my headshots, which are the pictures that you use in the industry to promote yourself, in whatever, acting, modeling, or both.
So I understand why she's clarifying what a headshot is, but at the same time, it's extremely condescending. Who doesn't know what a headshot is?
Yeah.
What, if any, charitable work did you do when you were still young?
It started off as a requirement for the school I went to, and then I liked it so much, I think, because it meant I wasn't at home, and it was important to me is just to not spend time at home. And I really loved meeting people, so I worked at the soup kitchen every morning before school, during the school year, for about 4 years. I didn't go on weekends, but on weekends I would do various things. Worked at children's museums, typically, because they would work with younger volunteers, and mostly soup kitchens and things involving children. I worked at with deaf kids for a while, and I love it.
And when you worked with deaf kids,
Keep in mind, she's no more than 20 years old
to be able to work with them.
when she's doing all of this.
Reading and form and relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Well, I taught myself how to sign basic sign language, and then I
So they're trying to
pursued
paint
out of
her
it
as this
a
perfect,
translate,
godly
a
Mary
course at
Sue of a
community college,
character
which
who
I ended
can
up
do
going
no
to,
wrong and
to get out of high school early.
is the most
Later
charitable,
on, when I got to
wonderful
audit
person on the
classes,
planet.
teachers never.
Yeah, kind of. So like,
She is the most innocent, precious China doll that was beaten.
kind of, yeah. Yeah. So she starts out by talking about her family life, right? My dad taught me to always get back up and to never be intimidated and to stay in the saddle. And then I graduated from high school at 16 because I'm just so smart. And then after that, after I graduated school, while I was still in school, I volunteered at the soup kitchen. And when I wasn't at the soup kitchen, I helped deaf kids and I helped with sick kids at the hospital. And I did all like she's it's like some kind of weird humble brag where she's trying to like, I'm this super charitable person and I'm like super smart. I'm super nice. So I think they're trying to paint her as like this super giving, caring, like this just super good person.
Yeah.
Wanted to kick the, random 12-year-old out of their class, I suppose. So I remarkably was able to audit, I think, the majority of 2 semesters, and that's also helped me learn.
So how did you end up in Los Angeles?
I did a small job in Texas.
So from here to about the 25-minute mark, so about for the next 15 minutes, she's going to be talking about like her start in Hollywood and how and when she met Johnny Depp. And this is where like the first big part of the notes come in.
Texas, where I played a part in a movie, and the actor in the movie that I was playing opposite had an agent visiting him from LA, and I met her on set, and she said that she had heard about me from another bit part I did. I was taking jobs in Austin for really anything, to be an extra, to apply I did makeup once. Nothing, no job was too small or, for me. So I put myself out there, and she had heard about me, and she said, I have heard about you in this town, and I'd love to meet you in LA if you're ever out in LA. And I was like, when can I come? And she made an appointment with me for the following week, and I used all but $180 or something to get out there, and I landed. I didn't know anyone. I was 17, and I've
Wait, she was 17.
Yes. So
this was all after graduating and helping at the soup kitchen and helping the deaf children.
So okay, I think all of that charitable work, she said she did it for 4 years, right? All this charitable work, I think she did while she was in school, and if she graduated, that means she was donating her time to charitable things, starting at 12 years old. She started donating her time at 12 years old, did that for 4 years until she realized that she can take her GED test and her SATs and graduate early.
And then immediately afterwards star in a movie and then have the movie's actor's agent send her to Los Angeles.
I think she said you can come to Los Angeles. Amber Heard had to pay for it herself.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she said that when she arrived at Los Angeles, she was 17.
Yes, she's 17 at this time. Yes. So she did 4 years of charitable goodness, starting at 12. And she graduated high school at 16. And then she did a very small role in a movie and then got noticed by a recruiter or an agent. Seems legit so far, right?
Sure.
Suppose.
Sure.
So I'm going to take you up to 2008. Did there come a time that you auditioned for The Rum Diary?
Yes, I auditioned for that in about 2008. I believe.
Please describe for the jury your experience in auditioning for the Rum Diary.
Well, I auditioned a few times, which is common in my work. You know, you get a call back, as they say, and I think I had at least one, maybe two callbacks with the director, and then I got a call saying that Johnny, who at the time was, I think I knew that he was producing it as well, was doing a project that was something very personal to him. He was reprising his role as his late friend, Hunter S. Thompson, and it was a very important project to him, and that he wanted to meet me in person. I thought I would be going for maybe an audition, but it was just a meeting. I went to his office and met with him for a few hours.
And what did you talk about during those few hours?
We talked about books and music, poetry. We liked a lot of the same stuff. You
How
know, obscure
romantic.
writers and, you know,
The first time they sit down and talk, they
pieces of
instantly
poetry
hit it
that I
off.
haven't heard anybody else reference or know or like, and he was very well read.
Like,
and
looking at this
charismatic,
now,
and you know, I think I
knowing
left
her
the office with a
entire
few books that he
childhood
gave
is
me,
perfectly
and
explained
spent
as
the
it
whole time
was,
just
they seem so
talking about
incompatible.
things that we care about, and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know Johnny's
I was
personal
so
life
surprised that
in his
somebody,
early
you know,
childhood or whatever, but
I
like,
knew who he was. I wasn't familiar, you know, I wasn't a fan
I
of
don't
his
know.
work. I wasn't familiar
I
with
know
him,
what you
but I
mean.
knew who he was. You know, he's one of the most famous people in the world. So it was already a weird thing to go and get called into his office. And, you know, I'm a no-name actor. I was 22, I think, and I thought it was unusual. It was weird because he was twice my age, and he's this world-famous actor, and here we are getting along about obscure books and weird, you know, old blues, and I thought it was remarkable. You know, I thought it was unusual and remarkable.
So I don't know how exactly to say it, but like that whole, I can't believe that one of the most famous actors in the entire world was getting along with me and just and being nice to me and all of this, and it feels very like they're trying to force this image.
like this whole story was written for a Walmart romance novel.
Yeah, that like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
This small town actress gets a part in a movie with one of the most famous actors in the entire world, and they start talking and they hit it off.
I left there just feeling like, wow.
So did there come a time that you learned that you were going to be cast for the role in the Rum Diary?
Yes, a few days later, my agent said that Johnny's going to call you. We gave him your phone number. I was like, oh, okay. And shortly after, my phone rings. I pick it up, and I hear, you know, this like deep voice on the.
I might have lagged out.
You need me to rewind it?
Go back like 10 seconds.
All right. And another thing while I'm doing this, if you notice, I don't know what Johnny Depp is doing, but it almost looks like he's just writing. So everything that Amber Heard is saying right here, all of these stories and all of this stuff,
He
She-
gives zero fucks about.
well, not only that, but because perjury, lying under oath is illegal, whatever she's saying now, she has to stick to. So she can't change her story later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if she later says like, "Oh, after I graduated at 17 years old," and they're like, "Motherfucking objection," and then they could get her ass on that.
Objection, bitch. But no, like that's another thing people on Reddit were saying. It's like whatever she's going on about right now is what she is gonna have to stick to.
like literally any time she's in a court now for the rest of her life, she is held legally accountable that this is her life story.
Yes.
Said that Johnny's going to call you. We gave him your phone number. I was like, oh, okay. And shortly after, my phone rings. I pick it up and I hear,
I thought he was like maybe reviewing
voice on the
notes
other
just in
line,
case he
and
could like
said, "You got
call her out
you know,
on
you're it,
anything.
kid. You're the
He's either reviewing notes or he's
wrote
taking
smart.
notes. Like he's
You're
writing
the
down what
right
she's saying.
kid."
That way they can go back at it.
Amazed.
Please describe for the jury what that means. What was the Rum Diary and this Hunter Thompson? What was the concept here and what role were you playing?
Well, it was my understanding that he was bringing to life his late friend. And what he told me was that this character is supposed to be the dream woman, like the dream American.
That's how I feel about this.
And
What?
so
Nothing.
I knew what he meant. He indicated to
I
me
burped.
Oh,
when
gotcha.
he told me I got the role that I was that, that I was the dream kid. That's what he said.
The dream kid.
So did there come a time that you started filming the Rum Diary?
Yes, I'm not quite sure how much. I think we started filming in maybe March of 2009.
And where did you film the Rum Diary?
We shot it in Puerto Rico.
And describe.
So
if
once
you
it gets
can,
more to their
the events
personal
of-
relationship with each other is probably when they're gonna start objecting and like calling her out on stuff more.
Kind of. So like right when you
'Cause right now
called-
we're all just kind of listening to her.
Yeah. Right when you called, around like the 35-ish minute mark, is right when they kind of got together.
Mm-hmm.
Not officially, but that's like when they both kind of like, oh well, he likes me and I like him and we've kissed and he stayed the night in my hotel room and kind of like, you know what I mean, like that.
Mm-hmm. By the way,
filming
if
and
there's any
interacting.
part worth fast forwarding over, please by all means. This is so fucking boring.
It's horrible, isn't
It's a
it?
bit surreal,
Imagine being the judge. You have to
in a
pay
place
attention
like
to
Puerto Rico.
everything. Well, we've only
Mhm.
watched 18 minutes. Imagine having had to listen to this for how they've been doing this for weeks.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It takes place in the 50s, so
Let's see. What are we at?
everything
We're at 18.
really looked beautiful. Cars and clothing, the music. It was.
We'll skip to 20 minutes
it was
in.
Very colorful. We didn't really have a whole lot of interaction on set until we did a scene that involved kissing. We had a kissing scene, and it didn't feel like a normal. It didn't feel like a normal scene anymore. It felt more real. There are certain things that you do in the job to be professional, like when you have to do that sort of scene, and you don't you don't use your tongue if you can avoid it. There's certain things that you do to just maintain a certain line, and it just felt like those lines were blurred. I mean, he grabbed my face and pulled me into him and really kissed me. But we were filming a scene.
Did he use his tongue?
Yes.
Okay.
That's that whole like the whole segment right there where it's like, well, we did this scene where he kissed and it just felt right. Almost comes across like a creepy stalker vibe, kind of like that the movie Kiss just felt so loaded and I don't know how he felt,
like
but
it probably meant nothing to him.
right,
at
he's
the
like, yeah,
time.
this is just a scene for the movie, and she's like, oh my
Get used
god,
to it.
oh my
Yeah.
god, this felt so loaded. He
For
stuck his
her,
tongue
yeah,
in my
this is
mouth.
And he's just like, you're the 14th bitch I've kissed this week.
It's just business, baby.
It's just business, baby.
Birthday? Did you celebrate your birthday while you were in Puerto Rico?
I did. I celebrated, I think, maybe my 23rd birthday there.
And
Skip
what,
here,
if anything,
Heather.
did Mr. Depp do for your birthday?
about things and would continue the conversation into the trailer, often with the director. Bruce Robinson was his name. And then at one point, we talk about wine. It's another thing that Johnny and I shared in
Hey, bro, does this part seem familiar?
common, a love for wine, red wine. And we were talking about
Yeah.
a kind of wine that I enjoyed, and I was, going on about how great this
Omega
bottled
pint.
wine was, and I didn't understand, how much more sophisticated Johnny's taste in wine was. So I was going on about the virtues of Malbec or something, and I brought him a bottle of this wine, and I set it down. And at some point, I'm going back to get back to set, and he kind of kicked his foot up in the air and basically kind of lifted the back of my bathrobe up. And
Can I just stop you there? Why were you wearing a bathrobe?
because I was doing a scene, it was a period film, so it took place in the 50s. And so I had all of this old undergarments that are for that time era on. And the scene involved me changing. So I had all the costume on. And he kind of picked up the back of my robe with his boot. And I kind of turned around and laughed, giggled, I didn't know what to make of it at the time. And I just kind of giggled and batted it away playfully. And he kind of playfully kind of pushed me down on this bed sofa that was in his trailer, just playful and flirtatious. And he said, yum. And he kind of lifted up his eyebrows like that. And I just giggled, laughed it off, kind of batted him away, and, moved on, went back to set.
And
So right there too, I don't know about you, but I don't get, when I listen to that, all I'm hearing is they're trying to paint Johnny in a bad light, which is understandable, but she's not telling a story.
Yeah, I can kind of read the strategy with their words where she was talking about how he was doing stuff on set and kicking up her skirt or whatever. They're trying to make him seem like a fucking, we can get him on a sexual harassment charge or whatever, and then pivot over to, oh, he tossed me on my bed and is saying creepy things like, ooh, yum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not just telling a story. She's telling.
She's also painting
specific,
him to be a pervert, basically.
Yeah, a specific scenario, and this is assuming that this whole thing is true. And they're just trying to make him, seem like some kind of, not necessarily a predator, but kind of oh, I'm a rich guy, and I think you're cute, and haha, let me look at your butt.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to paint him as a pervert.
were you in a relationship at that time?
I was.
Okay. And was Mr. Depp in a relationship at that time?
That was my understanding, yeah.
Okay. And did anything else of significant happen during that time period while you were filming with Mr. Depp, other than what you've told us?
We just had this, it was a friendship, flirtatious thing. I felt chemistry. I felt this other thing that went beyond the pale of my job, for sure. Johnny clearly felt that way about me, had indicated to me that that's how he felt in many different ways. But at the same time, we were both in relationships, and it is a job, and, it was intimidating. And I just remember feeling kind of intimidated and a little nervous about that. And I also was in a relationship, so we went our separate ways, and I didn't hear from him for a long time.
And that's
Another thing she keeps doing, if you notice, she keeps going back and forth between I liked him and he liked me, and there were feelings, and it wasn't just a job. You know, we were both feeling these things for each other, but I was in a relationship, and he kept making these advancements, and I didn't know how to feel about it.
He was taking advantage of me.
Yeah, but there was this thing between us, right? We had this super loaded, passionate kiss. But I was in a relationship, and he was in a relationship, and he tried to look at my butt, and she keeps going back and forth between, we have this secret unspoken thing between us, and he keeps making these flirtatious advancements towards me, and I don't know how to feel about it. Like, you gotta kind of, you gotta pick one.
Keep it paused for just a sec. I'll be right back.
All right.
All right.
You back and ready?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So approximately how long were you filming in Puerto Rico for the Rum Diary?
A few months is my best
All right,
guess.
and when you left Puerto Rico in the filming, when is the next time that you had any contact from Mr. Depp? And contact could include anything, communications, written communications, as well as telephone or otherwise.
We had no contact until Johnny called me on the phone one day, and I was driving, and he invited me over to his home in California, in Beverly Hills, and it was out of the blue. I didn't even have his phone number, so it was quite unexpected. He called me a second time, but I don't think we actually connected, or we didn't stay on the phone because we didn't really speak. But the first time was the only time I actually spoke to him, and he invited me over to his house under kind of he said that, we could get Bruce, who was the director, to come over, something about the movie, but it was clearly not about the movie, if you know what I mean. It was, so I said, I said, my friends are in town.
Here's another one of those
I'm
advancement
busy with that,
stories.
and kind of hung up, feeling really
Yep.
startled, that didn't know what else to do.
What, if any, gifts did Mr. Depp send you during that time period after you filmed the Rum Diary?
He sent me several gifts. He sent me a beautiful dress, one that I wore in the movie, with a beautiful handwritten note, said happy wrapping, and made a reference to the dress being wrapping paper. He sent me a few.
Here's another thing that I didn't catch the first time. If he sent you the dress and you wore the dress in the movie, maybe it was for the movie and not just, hey, here's this dress that I thought you would look nice in.
Yeah. I mean, could they contest that and say like, hey, she's giving people the wrong impression of this dress or whatever?
I don't know. But it could be a case of like, he's like, oh, well, she would look nice in this dress, and maybe she could wear it in the movie. And she's thinking of, oh my goodness, he just sent me this beautiful dress. You know what I mean? Two different intentions.
Gorgeous, expensive, what I can only assume are expensive, collectible books, items. And then when I was away filming,
She starts to stutter, kind of.
a different job.
She trips over her words right here.
He did send me some guitars. I know one delivery. I was informed about one delivery, and my partner at the time intercepted the attempt to deliver and called me immediately and said, "What should I do?" And I said, "Well, send it back." And she did, and she indicated that there was another one that had already previously attempted delivery, and it was also rejected. I sent it back because I wasn't there, and I wouldn't have accepted it anyway.
Okay. Did there come a time?
She fumbled over her words so bad right there, almost like she was trying to figure out what to say. Now, I'm trying to remain. Everyone is on Johnny Depp's side at this point, but I'm trying not to like be too like hearsay, objection, blah 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 blah.
Right. So, at the end of all of this, once it's all settled, is it down to the jury?
I
Like, is it like one of those like public juries that votes for either side?
I think so, but I could be wrong.
The whole jury's probably just gonna vote Depp.
Oh, 100%. There's no way that you can listen to her and be like, "Yo, you know what? She's legit."
I said, well, I'm going through it. I'm going through the separation right now, and it's been, rough couple of months, but that's normal. And he said, well, that's same with me. It's been, I can't remember exactly how long he said it had been, but that he had split from the mother of his kids, and said that he understood.
All right, and then what happened next?
Then we drank red wine and continued to talk, and the talking became us, reconnect. It was like reconnection was almost instant. It was just chemistry. It's hard to explain that, but we sat on the couch and we talked, and it felt like there was it felt like there was an electricity to the room, and it's how I felt when I was alone with him anyway. And it was instant again. I was like, whoa. So on the couch, we talked, finished some wine, and then I got up and left. And as I went to leave, he grabbed both sides of my face, similar to what he did in Puerto Rico when we were filming that scene. And he kissed me, and I kissed him back.
Surprise Pikachu.
And what happened next with respect to any relationship with Mr. Depp?
Well, then we fell in love. We
he's
went
whispering.
on this press tour, and
Fell in love, bro.
it was
Oh
it was
my
a
gosh.
beautiful and strange time. We were flying from one
beautiful
not
and
together,
strange.
going from one city to the
New
next,
love.
Europe, New York, Los Angeles, as I said, and we're just traveling around talking about this movie that we did together, that we participated in together. And
It's almost like their baby.
we were falling in love. I mean, it was just,
It was
the first
their
time we were in
thing
London,
together.
He sat me next to me.
Their
He produced
movie.
the film, and
It
was
belonged
part
to
of
them.
controlling the film, and was responsible for different things than I was as an actor having a small part in it. And we went on this press tour, and I think in London he had me sat next to him at a dinner, and then we ended up spending the night together in my hotel room. And for the rest of the press tour, it was on. I'll put it that way.
It was on.
All right. And how long approximately did the press tour go?
I don't know exactly how long it lasted. I think, there were press engagements in this city for a few days, and then another city for a few days, and then there was a break, and then there was another press opportunity, I believe. So it was kind of spread out over maybe a month, if I'm guessing.
So when you returned to Los Angeles, what, if anything, took place with any relationship with Mr. Depp?
Well, once we were back from the press tour, we had this, whirlwind romance kind of just in these like beautiful places all over, and we're falling in love and not able to really show it because the world didn't know about the split between he and his former partner. And of course, as a woman, I was like, is that troubling? And I'd ask him, no, he swore to me that they hadn't even shared a bed for a year, and that they were protecting the kids and not publicizing it. So, or not making it known to the press. And so we kind of had to be a little bit under the radar, not a little bit, we had to be really under the radar. Because as Johnny pointed out, that the world would blame me and call me a homewrecker, even though I had nothing to do with it. So we were secretly dating, and then You know, it was beautiful. It was, I felt like this man knew me and saw me in a way that no one else had. I felt he understood me. I felt he understood where I came from. I felt that, like, when I was around Johnny, I felt like the most beautiful person in the whole world. You know, it made me feel seen, made me feel like $1 million.
So
You could hear the "I'm trying to make my crying sound" voice,
there's no way.
like at the end there.
Nope.
$dollars. Like you're trying to force tears.
Dude, nobody talks like that. He made me feel seen. He made me feel loved and understood and safe and that's something you only hear in like a movie or a TV show.
Exactly.
No
She's
normal
making
person.
her whole life a fucking Hallmark story.
No one talks like that.
Everyone in the audience knows that's not real life.
Exactly. She's telling a story, but she's not reflecting on the past. She is telling a story.
And
She's trying to make herself cry too.
That
You can
kind of-
see it.
feeling where, you know, he's just
Not wiping my boogies on cam.
gifts and lavish expressions of love, and how he had never met a woman like me. I mean, I remember he took the foil off of this bottle and put it on my ring finger, and I had only been with him like days, you know, or maybe it was weeks at the time. Yeah, it was probably about a few weeks. But
How do you get
it just
days
felt
and
very
weeks
intense.
messed up?
But
You know what I mean? A few days and a week, sure.
Days and weeks, as in days.
when I
you know,
think of-
2 to 5.
I would say I think 4. When someone says a few days, I think 4. When
I
someone
think
says
like 2 to
weeks, when someone says weeks, I'm thinking 6 to 7. 6 to 7 weeks.
4. A
That is
bare minimum of 3.
That is a very big difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you not know how long you've been together? Especially since it's a secret. They're still keeping it a secret, as far as I'm aware.
we
Right.
weren't doing normal life stuff. We weren't like stuck in traffic with each other. We weren't going to the grocery store and doing life. We were like hiding in these places around the world. He has so many homes. And so we'd be in one of those homes, or my home at the time, and it would be like a bubble, like we were in this little bubble of secrecy, and it felt like a warm glow, as we would say. Just music and kind of books that we both loved, and poetry that we both knew by heart, and it felt like a dream. It felt like absolute magic.
So
No tears yet.
while you're dating,
She's working on it.
She's got to think of something sad.
Sorry.
falling in love, but also dating, right? Okay.
Yes.
Did there come a time early on that you ended up going to his Bahamas island?
Yes.
Oh, he's got his own island?
You know,
You surprised?
I'm not
You
surprised.
surprised that
I just-
Johnny Depp owns an island?
That's just crazy to think. Like,
Of course Captain Jack fucking Sparrow would own his own goddamn island.
you're right.
Only him.
That's just something that, like, unless you're like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, the thought of someone owning an island is crazy. Like, I don't even
Oh, yeah.
technically own my car yet, and this dude has an entire island.
Like the fact that, yeah, that a mass of land is a singular person's property.
This is crazy.
I think started dating October of 2011, and
Whoa.
you know, as I mentioned, this bubble, you know, where he'd come over to my house and not leave for like 3 or 4 days, you know, just
Maybe weeks.
smoking cigarettes,
We don't
and
know.
playing music and reading poetry to me, or painting me, or, you know, just talking. and then he would disappear. And there'd be just no way to get a hold of him, no way to contact him.
This is where the dark side starts coming
First,
up.
I didn't really think anything about it, but he disappeared.
He was
at one
ominous.
point,
He would
and
leave at a
then
moment's
came back
notice.
and said he was dealing with some health issue, and would I join him in the Bahamas? And I think that's when I learned he had an island. And I was on a trip with a friend of mine in Spain, and it was for the holidays, and I kind of rerouted my trip so I could come and land in LA landing in Miami instead of LA, so I could go and meet him on the island. And he had Keenan come and meet me on that trip, like in Miami. I get off one plane, get onto another, and go and join him on his private island. And I noticed he was drinking Beck's and tea, like lots of tea. And I didn't foolishly think anything of it.
Okay,
I
he's
just,
addicted to tea. We get it.
There's nothing wrong with
I missed
tea.
it before, but really
She
loves
puts
tea.
so much
And
emphasis on
beautiful-
that.
Like,
Tea.
like a lot
Like,
of tea.
you would not imagine the amount of tea that Johnny Depp drinks in a day. It is an unspeakable, an ungodly amount of tea. Bro, how much tea do you think is too much? You think Depp's ever had kidney stones?
He has to have. I mean, did you see the way she emphasized the amount of tea that he drank?
Bro, there was so much tea. Look,
Oh.
he's probably drinking a tea right now. What's that bottle? What's that?
It's green
fucking
tea.
bottle? It better be Lipton
And
green
I
tea.
didn't foolishly think anything of it. I just, thought the man really, seriously, I missed it before, but really, really loves tea.
Oh my God, he loves
This
tea.
Beautiful, I don't know, less than a week probably.
So much tea. He drank so much tea, and I foolishly thought nothing of it. I just thought he really liked tea. What?
What's the point?
There is no point. She's been babbling for 40 minutes. She started off talking about horses and how the horses don't like to be ridden, and how her dad's like, just get back up on the horse and stay in the saddle. Then she talked
just
about
like how she didn't like to be ridden. Johnny Depp's the horse.
I noticed he was drinking Beck's and tea.
what is Beck's? I'm assuming it's a type of alcohol. Beer.
Beck's. What is it? Just a cheap beer?
Well, hold on, let me type in Beck's drink. Beck's non-alcoholic is a light golden-colored non-alcoholic malt beverage with aroma notes of so it's beer. I think they have alcoholic and non-alcoholic, so it would have been nice if she had specified, because now I'm curious. But he was drinking beer and tea. Lots and
like
lots of tea. Like a lot of tea.
Too much
Lots
tea.
of tea.
Lots of tea.
Lots of tea.
Like lots of it.
And I didn't.
She yells
think
it,
anything of it.
She didn't think anything of it.
Thought the man really, seriously, I missed it before, but really, really loves tea.
Look at her face. She looks so distraught. She's like, look at how distraught she is when she's like, I foolishly thought of that. I just thought he liked tea.
What's his reaction? Is he even paying attention?
I don't know.
Drinking Beck's and tea. But like lots of tea. Like lots of tea.
Oh, he's thinking about tea.
And I didn't foolishly think anything of it. I just
He's got tea on his mind.
thought the man really, seriously, I missed it before, but really, really loves tea. And
I feel like that line is something you'd see on Saturday Night Live. I just thought that the man really liked his tea. It sounds like something you'd see on like a skit show or something.
Like it's a joke.
Yeah.
this beautiful, I don't know, less than a week probably. Trip in the Bahamas, a private island, beautiful sandy beaches. It's a scene that you just don't. I had never experienced anything like that. It was a beautiful place, a beautiful time, and I fell head over heels in love with this man.
So after the Bahamas, I assume you came back, and are we talking now early 2012?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what were you doing work-wise while you were dating him in this early stage?
What I always do, I would be taking job to job to job, going from one movie to the next, mostly not filming in LA. So weirdly, you live in LA to go shoot on location in other places. So when I was in town, we would go back to this bubble, like insular bubble with beautiful, blaringly loud music and no one else and nothing else. And then, you know, I'd go off to work. And so would he. Well, eventually, yeah, he left to shoot Lone Ranger, I believe.
Okay. Now, we've heard a little bit about Lone Ranger, and that's about mid-2012, is that right, when he was shooting that?
That sounds right, mid-2012, yeah.
And were you shooting anything at that time?
I was shooting,
Machete Kills?
I believe I was shooting Machete Kills in Austin. I had a small part in a Robert Rodriguez film that shot in Austin. But, you know,
It's a good thing her lawyer was there to remind her.
Some time off, and there was just a lot of travel, a lot of movement. So,
And so what, if any, visiting did you do with Johnny while he was on his set for Lone Ranger, and where was he?
well, he was filming all over the Southwest, and at some point I came to visit him and on one of his locations, and I would stay in the house because I couldn't really, you know, occasionally I would leave with his security guards, but I didn't really have anything to do but visit him for a few days. So I'd cook and kind of stay at home and paint or whatever and wait for him to come home and have dinner ready. And we would have these little bubbles, but kind of scattered throughout the Southwest as he was filming. And at the time, Johnny had, you know, when I first arrived at one of these locations, it was the first time that Johnny told me that he had had a health issue, something with his liver, and that he wasn't, that's why he was.
Is he coloring? He's holding a marker.
He was drinking a lot of tea.
Did you see that?
A lot of tea.
Oh, she's back on the tea. Yeah, look, he's got a marker.
Wait, go back. I have to hear about the tea.
Hold on. Okay. There's a lot that just happened. He is doing something with, and that's not even a small marker. That's like that's one of those like fat boy Sharpie markers.
Or an artist marker.
Something. He's doing something with a marker, and then she's going on about his tea again.
As he was filming. And at the time, Johnny had, you know, when I first arrived at one of these locations, it was the first time that Johnny told me that he had had a health issue, something with his liver, and that he wasn't, that's why he was not drinking. He was drinking a lot of tea, like a lot of tea.
Okay. And so.
Like a lot of tea.
I heard a little testimony.
Not a lot, but like a lot.
What is so important about the tea?
I had no idea. Watch this.
What?
I have no idea. I'm gonna go to the kitchen real quick and get a snack. Should I get Flamin' Hot Cheetos or tortilla chips?
Bro, you better make some fucking tea.
I have peach tea mix. I'll save that for
Got
tomorrow,
that.
though.
Get that and whatever the second one was.
Tortilla chips. You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just get both. Should I get both?
Yeah.
All right, bet. I'll be back. All right, give me like 2 minutes. Not even.
All right.
I also got some gummies. But you ready to continue?
Yeah.
All right.
Johnny had a thing for turquoise, and that eventually, being in the Southwest, it can happen really quickly. I also too really love turquoise, and he has he loved knives. He loves a lot of things. When Johnny loves things, he does it a lot, and lots of it.
I feel it.
So he had these daggers that he had given me that they were
Like the tea.
beautiful in design.
He's all about that tea, man.
They're, long.
I have that tea.
What, if any, relationship has he developed with your family?
Oh, well, starting really early on, Johnny was so kind, so generous to my family, but especially my mom and dad. He met my dad, and my dad's a big personality. He's a rowdy guy, and Johnny just all of a sudden, I had never noticed, Johnny have a southern, all of a sudden Johnny had this southern accent and was really like buddies with him, and they really seemed to get along very well. They're, just like instantly he was giving my dad gifts, he gave him guns, he gave him knives. They had this, Johnny just really just showered my dad, and my dad's a working man, salt of the earth guy, and he was just like, floored. He's getting all these amazing gifts and being invited to come onto these locations, and Johnny's this big movie star, and my dad was just like, I think my dad would have married him himself, not if I hadn't. And he just instantly, he gave my mom jewelry, brought her out to come and see me while I was visiting Johnny on Lone Ranger in some part of the Southwest. I think it was Colorado. He gave her this beautiful turquoise necklace, and they were definitely taken by him.
And what, if any, relationship had Mr. Depp forged with Whitney by this time, your sister?
I believe the relationship came a little bit later as they got to know each other, but he did the same thing with my sister and just really found a bond with them that, was he tried to do anything and everything he could to make them feel like special, and they did. My mom, my dad, and my sister.
And what, if any, relationships did Mr. Depp form with your friends?
Well, Johnny's so generous and can be this really like overly generous almost, like showering you with gifts and compliments and just,
So I'll just say, it's weird that she claimed to be a victim of abuse, and she's going on about how he's like this super loving, generous saint of a man.
Well, I feel like if she's trying to remain true and accurate to like history, maybe she wants it to be where like he started off as an overly good 10 out of 10 Chad man, and then later on, after the perfect marriage and after the perfect relationship, is when he started to
Coke.
let his dark side out. After the marriage is when the abuse started, but leading up to that, he was,
I feel it.
he lured her in.
I feel it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. She doesn't want to paint him as a bad guy yet.
Right.
Right now, he's still in the early stages. He's a good guy.
He's a dream guy. Perfect. He's great to the parents. He's good to her. Everyone loves him.
Exactly.
And he has access and means to really, we're not talking about giving you
I've never even gone to law school, but like I can just listen to all this shit and be like,
extravagant gestures, and
I can just call it all out.
It's a story.
I did that with my close friends.
Yeah.
We've never been to law school, but you and me have played enough like video games that you can kind of. It's a story. That's all it is. It's like a video game. It's a storyline, like a movie.
She's choosing all the wrong dialogue options.
Yes. That's all it is, though. It's like
She needs to level up her speech.
Yeah. She got speech freaking 1 right now. No, she's so predictable.
Relied heavily on my friends and had a pretty strong support network with them, and he really just showered them with generosity and love and light, and invited them to come to these exotic places and flew people here and there. I mean, he's incredibly generous.
So going back to the filming of The Lone Ranger, what, if anything, did Mr. Depp do with respect to a horse?
Objection leading.
What, if anything?
Overruled.
We're going to talk about a horse. Apparently Johnny Depp did something to a horse.
Oh, I'm ready.
Do you think it's good or bad? Because keep in mind, we're still in the saint-like stage. He's a super good guy. You think he like bought them a horse? Because remember, her dad used to break horses.
The horse.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's when it all went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna violate the set's horse by spilling his tea on its wiener.
He wanted,
I don't know.
a tea and cocaine fueled horse fucking.
But I still loved him enough to marry him.
I don't know. I'm gonna say because she's still hyping him up right now, he probably bought the family like a super expensive horse or something.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny at one point insisted on buying me a horse.
Called it.
And I, of course,
Wait a minute, pause. Had you already gotten this far when you watched it on your own?
No, so like you see the timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching on my own, I got to like right here, like the 35-minute mark. So like, yeah, all of this is.
I thought you had just called something you had already seen.
No, I'm just using my my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
No, because that'd be like a super hard left turn for her to go.
We should be lawyers.
Hell yeah.
Let's be lawyers.
TBC law firm.
What kind of horse to buy, and then showed me a picture of this horse and said, "It's yours. It's coming here." I think it was being transported, and he said, that he had my dad's help on it, picking out. And I grew up on my dad's horses. I grew up riding with my dad, so I went. I had resisted for I think about like a month and a half or something of him kind of bringing up the idea and me saying, "That's a crazy gift. No, thank you. No, that's incredibly generous, but I couldn't accept." To all of a sudden I had a cult.
So let's take you through 2012 and your relationship. Could you just describe for the jury a little bit about how that relationship evolved through 2012?
It was always intense. It didn't become intense. It almost started that way. When I was with him, I felt that electricity in my body. I felt like butterflies. I couldn't see straight practically. It was just, I was head over heels in love. And he felt like that to me. He felt like he was also in love. I didn't feel like he was faking it. I felt like what we had, it felt like to me at the time, there wasn't any love like that, I mean, and then.
She's getting herself all worked up again.
Mm-hmm.
He started to kind of do this thing again where he'd disappear and he'd come back. And I remember at first when he first started drinking, I didn't really think much of it, but all of a sudden the behavior kind of started to go in line with the disappearing, and he'd come back and he'd just be different. And I'd say something and he'd accuse me of saying something else or saying it in a different way, or he would, it was mostly my clothing at the time and me working. That was the main thing. Like, I found myself trying to not talk about auditions because it would change the mood so dramatically. I tried to, you know, he would make these comments about, you know, whoring myself out, but do so in the context of me acting, you know, and he would talk about other actresses who do my role in this way where they were worthless whores, that they were, you know, fame hungry.
Ooh, those are big
you know,
words.
Expletive, you know, just this. The point is, it felt really dirty to be an actor. Never mind that he was one. It was dirty that I wanted to do this job that I wanted to do, and I was doing the job of an actress. It was everything every time I was walking out of the house, he would ask me, "That's really what you're wearing, kid? Oh, I see." You know, I wore a dress to an event once, and I felt beautiful in it. Like, stupid as that sounds, I felt pretty in this dress I picked out, and I showed it him because you know, it's a carpet, it's red carpet, so it's like, you know, publicized, and I kind of thought it was weird he wasn't saying anything about it. You know, I left him to go do this red carpet, and I was like, "Did you see the you know, the event I went to?" You know, basically, I felt pretty, and I thought, like, "Did you see that?" You know, I wanted him to say something about that, I guess. And he said, well, this is after he stopped talking to me for some time, didn't tell me why. When he came back in my life, he wouldn't explain why he was acting different. He just kind of acted mad at me, didn't know what I had done wrong. And when I brought up the dress and the event, because it was an event to support a charity I was really involved with at the time, and I said, you know, "Did you see that thing?" And he said, yeah, I think the whole world saw that, kid. That's how they'll remember you. That's how the world will remember you. And I was like, oh, come on. I mean, it's like, but it, you know, I felt.
Everything she's saying, if you had no outside context and you listen to that speech, it almost sounds something more like a father-daughter relationship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like a super conservative, not even conservative, like a dad that doesn't want her daughter or doesn't think that she should be acting or whatever. She's like, "Hey, Dad, did you see me on the TV on my red carpet? I felt pretty." He's like, "Yeah, kid, I definitely saw you. The entire world saw you. They're going to remember you that way."
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a husband and wife kind of thing.
No, and it certainly doesn't sound like show business. I don't feel like anyone in that type of environment would have any kind of reaction like that. Johnny Depp is not going to, she is not going to, you know, show him her red carpet dress and say, "Oh, what did you think of it? Didn't I look so good?" And he'd go, you know, "You made a fool of yourself. The whole world saw you hot. That's supposed to be kept to me."
Yeah.
Like, what?
He said,
No.
"Yeah, kid, that's what you're putting out there in the world. No one will ever forget that, and that's all they'll see you as. That's what you. That's
You're
what
dressing like
that's
a
what
whore.
You know, my
Ye harlot,
special slow cut.
take off
Yeah,
that dress.
slow cut.
You wouldn't.
But I felt,
You're showing your ankles.
Ye showing your shoulders to the world.
embarrassed and horrible that I
Bro,
wore
was
that. I
this
felt like,
was this
how could
around
I
the
have
time he was filming
made that
Pirates of the
choice?
Caribbean?
Course, you know, he's right.
I have no idea.
I started to believe that made a lot of sense. Of course.
I don't know what time period this is.
But it didn't stop with that. It was clothing in general. And when I walked out of the house, it wasn't just like, "Hey, you're not allowed to wear that." It was like, "Oh, really? That's what you're wearing. No wonder you get cast in those roles. No wonder you that's what you are. That's what you're making it."
This sounds so much like a father-daughter thing.
It continued. And then there would be a blow up. And at first it was just to throw something, smash some things. loves to smash up a place, an apartment, furniture. That's what it started with, glass. Threw glass at me, and I remember it was summer. And he just threw this glass across the kitchen, and it didn't hit me, but it shattered behind me, and I remember thinking that it like very easily could have hit me. And that, calling me a whore, it didn't start with using the whore word, it was just comments until it would escalate. And then I started to notice the pattern of escalation where he'd throw glass or turn over a table. Then he would hit the wall, and then he'd hit the wall really close to my head. You know, like when I'm standing there, you know, just hit the wall, screaming at me. But then he would disappear and get clean and sober, and he'd come back and tell me that he was done drinking, he was over it, he was done, cleaned himself up, he had done it before, and he'd do it again. And then he would go back to this like wonderful, like almost like just unreal, like real, you know, but unbelievably nice, sensitive.
She's trying to make herself
warm,
cry again.
Generous, interesting.
You can see it in her mouth when she tries to make herself cry. She almost frowns.
Yeah, she tries to get that little like the mouth quiver.
She's
pout
got that little
start,
that pouty look.
That's what she's going for.
You're not wrong.
She
no,
can't do the. See, I can't.
I just got a text that says, "America mourns Oprah live." Did Oprah die?
What?
Hold up.
What?
Hold on here.
Wait a minute. Wait, what was... You got a text?
Yeah, it was one of those spam texts that said, America mourns Oprah live, and then with a link, and I'm sure you click on it and they steal your identity or something. News.
Well, if you prefaced with that... If it was... I thought it was like some news site that you were...
No.
subscribed to.
It's a spam text, bro.
It's a spam text. Good God, I thought Oprah was dead. Okay, back. Anyways, like I was saying, I can't help but feel like I'm watching a movie, watching her talk. Like she's giving such a performance between her face and the attempted crying, and it doesn't seem... She is an actress after all.
It doesn't feel like a real life thing. It feels like a performance.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she's done, everyone's gonna get up and clap.
Funny man that I loved.
And the whole Starbucks clapped.
Make me feel so loved. Like I would feel so distant from that thing that was so scary that I would not even recognize it too. And that was how, you know, our relationship kind of started to develop in that first year.
Do you remember the first time that he physically hit you?
Yes.
Please tell the jury about it.
It was it's seemingly so stupid, so insignificant. I will never forget it. It changed my life. I was sitting on the couch and we were talking. We were having a normal conversation, you know, just there was no fighting, no argument, nothing. And he was drinking, and I didn't realize at the time, but I think he was using cocaine because it was like there was a jar of cocaine out.
So Katie had made the comment to me that people were posting this on TikTok where it wasn't a jar of cocaine. It was a jar of dirt.
Oh my God, it could have been a jar of dirt. Or Better yet, you know what it probably was? You dumb idiot. It was probably a jar of sugar for his tea.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's not bad with the whole tea thing, because that's
Yeah. Yeah. Going along with your real story here, he's such a tea addict, he can't get enough tea. That's not cocaine. It could be a jar of dirt, or because
sugar.
dirt. Yeah, yeah,
Dirt's
yeah.
brown, not white.
Exactly. It's a jar of sugar for his tea.
You're right, bro.
Silly.
On the table. I realize that sounds weird, but it's like an
Objection.
actual vintage jar of it. But I didn't
A
see him use it at the
vintage
time. So
jar
I
of
didn't really factor that
cocaine.
in. I just, he's drinking and we're talking, and there's music playing, and he's smoking cigarettes, and we're sitting next to each other on the couch.
Cigars.
And I asked him about the tattoo he has on his arm. And to me, it just looked like black marks. I didn't know what it said. It just looked like muddled, faded tattoo that was hard to read. And I said, what does it say? And he said it says wino. It says wino. And I didn't see that. I thought he was joking because it didn't look like it said that at all. And I laughed. It was that simple.
He's got a green
guessed that.
Sharpie
I
now,
thought he was
bro.
joking.
I guarantee he's probably just drawing a
And-
picture or coloring or
Slapped me
something.
across the face. And I laughed. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. I thought, this must be a joke. This must be a joke. Because I didn't know what was going on. I just stared at him, kind of laughing still.
Here's another thing. I don't know exactly where we're at on the timeline here. Like, I don't know how long they've been together. But if you're dating someone with tattoos, generally, within the first few months, you know exactly what every tattoo is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like the fact.
That's something that could have easily been addressed, one night at his island.
Yeah. Yeah. Island tattoos.
Still, thinking that he was going to start laughing too to tell me it was a joke, but he didn't. He said, "You think it's so funny? You think it's funny, bitch? You think you're a funny bitch?" And he slapped me again. Like, it was clear it wasn't a joke anymore. And I stopped laughing, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to do. You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that. I'm an adult, and I'm sitting next to the man I love, and he slapped me for no reason, it seemed like, and I missed the point. It was that stupid. Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, "What are you doing? You're crazy." I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard.
She's making the pouty
I
face
lose my
again.
balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch.
What do you think he's asking his
And
lawyer?
I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing is
What
just
color
happened to me.
should I use for this part of my picture?
Just thinking that. He's like, what color should I paint the dog? Will it be a golden retriever or a black labradoodle?
Let's be honest. Like, what?
Well, Mr. Depp, I think it should be a greyhound. Oh yes, of course, yes.
If
He
you're
reaches for the gray Sharpie.
if you're in court, what possible anything is there to use a green Sharpie for?
Maybe to highlight maybe to categorize different notes.
Maybe, but you'd use a highlighter for that, not a Sharpie. That's like a full-on marker that he had.
Who knows?
Realize that I
Only Johnny knows.
wish so much he had said he was joking. Because it didn't hurt. It didn't physically hurt me. I was just sitting there on this carpet, looking at the dirty carpet, wondering how I wound up on this carpet and why I never noticed that the carpet was so filthy before, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to say.
What a weird thing to say. I ended up on the carpet. I ended up on the dirty carpet, and I couldn't help but think, how did I end up on this carpet, and why is it so dirty? I just got hit, and I can't believe how dirty this carpet is.
You know what it is? So this is what's going on. She spent her whole life, her whole relationship, thinking she was in this perfect golden fantasy realm.
Mm-hmm.
And then that last slap, the third hard slap, was the wake-up call. It dropped her to the ground, and then that's when she saw the reality around her. It wasn't a pristine castle with her as the princess. It was destroyed. There was litter, there was broken glass on the floor, there were Dorito crumbs just all over the bearskin rug.
Crushed tea leaves ground into the carpet.
Yeah. There's like the weird brown stain that's in any carpet that you don't know where it came from or how long it's been there, but it's just, it's there.
Me and Katie had a red stain in our carpet. She got it up with a carpet cleaner, but she had like a glass of wine or like a beer. She had something on the floor and already knocked it over, and it stained the carpet. It was there for a while though. I know what you're talking about. Everyone's got a stain.
Yeah.
Sat there thinking, how much time do I have till I figure out what I need to do? Because, God, did he just hit me? No, I didn't want to leave him. I didn't want this to be the reality. I didn't want to have the man I was in love with. I know you don't come back from that. I'm not dumb. I know you can't hit a woman. You can't.
She's
hit a
trying
man.
so
You can't
hard.
hit anyone. You can't just hit somebody because they. I knew it was wrong, and I knew that I had to leave him. And that's what broke my heart. Because I couldn't leave him.
Lord.
She's trying so hard, bro.
The best thing that ever happened to me.
She's squinting. She's
And I wish I could
she's
sit there.
squeezing.
I stood up and I walked out of that house and I drew a line and I stood up for myself.
Oh, how brave.
Is her nose even red?
Looking at the
That's how you know. That's how you can tell when someone's like
trying to
upset.
will myself to get up
Is her nose like I'm crying red, or is it like just
at the door because I knew I needed to.
the same
She
color as the rest of
probably
the
added
face?
some extra
And I
blush
really
before they
slowly-
started, just in case.
I stood up and I remember looking at him in the eye.
A little extra red makeup
just
on the nose.
Looking at him, frankly, because I didn't know what else to do.
That's probably a tactic.
And
She probably did
before
that.
I know it, he starts crying. And I had never seen an adult man cry. I didn't even really see my dad cry at my grandma's funeral. It's weird. And he's crying. Tears, just falling out of his eyes. He gets down on his knees and he grabs my hands and he's touching my hands and he's saying to me, I will never do that again. I'm so sorry, baby. I put the fucker away. I thought I killed it and it's done. I thought I put the monster away. And I've done it before. It's done. But on his knees.
This is a movie. This is a Hallmark movie.
He unleashed the beast inside.
I thought I killed the dark demon inside me. I'm so sorry. This is so just overly unnecessarily dramatic.
Yeah.
And I didn't have words. I didn't know what to say. I just remember thinking that He was crying. He seemed so sorry, but I knew I couldn't just forgive him because right? That means it will happen again, no? You know, like I've seen the health class videos, like everyone else. And I got up in my car, I walked to the car, I didn't say anything.
Was that supposed to be a joke?
What about health class videos?
Here, I'll play it again. I don't know if this was supposed to be like some kind of like haha, like she's trying to be funny.
Just forgive him because right? That means it will happen again, no? You know, like I've seen the health class videos, like everyone else.
Was that supposed to be a joke?
I don't know.
It'll happen again, right? I've seen the health class videos, like everyone else. I feel like that was supposed to be some kind of weird joke. What a weird thing to say.
And I got up in my car, I walked to the car, I didn't say anything. I made a point to not say, oh, it's okay or anything like that. I just didn't say anything. I got up, I went to the car, I sat in my car, and I felt like I sat there forever. I didn't want to turn the key. I just leaned my head up against the window, and I remember just seeing my breath on the windshield, you know, on the glass of the window of the door, just seeing my breath and trying to will myself to have the strength to know what I should do in this moment, because I was heartbroken.
Here's another thing. How long has it been since her lawyer asked her a question? She's been on this. Like...
I don't even remember the question. Do you remember the question?
I know. She has been on this tirade rant story thing for like a half hour. Hold on. Okay, so we're at 103:31. I don't even know where to skip. She's probably just, I think she's been just going for like 30 minutes. I have no idea what
question?
I don't know.
And I sat there for a long time, and I eventually turned the key and drove home.
Still no tears.
I don't know. I don't remember what I did when I got home. I don't remember. I went to my therapist. I told her.
Objection, hearsay.
I'll sustain it as to what she may have told her.
I went home, and a few days later, started getting. I actually don't know how.
I can't believe the hearsay objected.
And texts from Johnny, you know, apologizing profusely. I mean, just, you know, he said, I'd rather cut my hand off than ever lay it on you or lay it upon you, you know, and he had that way of talking. It felt like poetry. And he showed up to talk, like with the understanding that, you know, he understood I could never forgive him and it was done. So I felt kind of safe in saying, okay, let's have a talk. Or,
he's been rubbing
you know,
his nose a lot.
Yeah, it's from the Coke.
I just wanted to see him, and he comes over.
Maybe he's allergic to bullshit.
A couple of cases of that Vega Sicilia wine that we've heard about, which is a really nice, expensive wine that I could never, at that time, dream of affording, you know. And we talk, and he tells me that he had put this thing away, that I could trust him.
Demon
that it would never happen again. Of course, it would never happen again. That he put this thing away.
He locked up the monster, bro.
Yeah, he did.
Said to me over and over again, I put that fucker away. I killed that monster. I'll kill
The monster, you put it away.
I'll never lay a hand on you again.
Be gone, monster.
And I wanted to believe
Foul
it. So I
beast.
chose to.
Chose to stay in the relationship.
This just feels like a giant therapy session.
Yeah, I did.
but from a
I
gaslighter.
believed it. But, you know, I believed it wouldn't. I believed that there was a line he wouldn't cross again, and that was it.
And so you stayed, correct? You stayed in the relationship?
Yes.
Okay. So, just, is this a good time? You want to
You can keep going a little longer, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So could you please describe for the jury the evolution of your relationship after that time with Johnny?
I don't know how long it was until things got bad again. He did start drinking again. I remember it was almost, you know, he'd start drinking again, the disappearing thing, the coming back. He'd come back like in the middle of the night to my house. And it would be unclear to me, you know, drunk, often really drunk, and kind of accusing me, but not directly. Nothing was very direct. It was a lot of accusations, but they were veiled. You know, what I was wearing, who I was with, why didn't I text him back? I didn't text him back right away. This is when I was at my place in Orange. Sometimes he would show up to catch me. Like that was a pretext for coming over. And by the time,
Did you see his reaction?
would be, I would have.
I
thought
wasn't
had
paying
convinced him
attention.
that
Watch
I loved
Johnny
him,
Depp here.
I only loved him. There was no one else. And then sometimes he would show up to catch me. Like that was a pretext for coming over. And by the time we were done talking,
He looked at his lawyer like, did you hear that?
Gave him the rock eyebrow. He's like,
but I only loved him. There was no one else. And then that we were back in an upswing and would go back to good, loving, like sick, romantic love, like kind, sweet, velvety love. And then it would be something I said. Why did you say it that way? You know, if I had to leave for an audition, I could guarantee that when couldn't guarantee, but 2 of those in a row. And when I came back, he was angry at me, you know, and I wouldn't necessarily know why. And then he started accusing me of things, probably like at first it was indirect and then it became really direct. Then the punching of the walls next to my head which is a constant at that time in 2012 when he was drinking.
you would think by this
Eventually that
point,
became,
rehashing
him
the
accusing
exact
me,
same
I'd
story,
defend myself. I'd say, you know, that's crazy. You're wrong.
Yeah.
where
Never,
the
no
drinking
offense.
and the disappearing
And
and the judging her
they would
wardrobe,
escalate
same as
to the point
earlier,
where he'd
throwing
actually-
glass, punching walls, same as earlier. At this point, assuming this is all true, assuming you're a human being with a brain, if you're already recognizing all of those early patterns just happening again, you would leave,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So it's so unrealistic
or shove me down, and then I'd
how
get back
how
up,
this is
and
being handled.
This happened several times.
Yeah.
So it's not more specific, I suppose. When I get back up, I'd look him in the eye. I made a point of getting up and looking him in the eye. It's my way of defending myself at that time. And I'd look at him, and he'd ask me if I wanted to go again, and shove me back down. Eventually, he just hit me. Remember, he hit me in the face when I denied having an affair with my ex-wife, my ex-partner at the time.
Whoa, is she gay?
What?
Did she just say ex-wife?
Yeah.
She gay, bro?
Bro, she has an ex-wife. You know what that means?
What?
It means that she's bad with commitment. It means that that's not a good character trait.
Right, divorce is
That was a
bad.
bad thing to say. That was a bad thing to say. Having an ex-wife, that means there was a problem in her prior relationship.
Yes, the ex-wife could be called as a witness.
Exactly. Write
And
that
he
down.
said
Write that down.
he'd
We're lawyers, bro.
Bro, we're
walking out of the bedroom,
lawyers.
slapped me across
This
the
is
face,
easy.
turned to look at him. And I said, Johnny, you hit me. You just hit me.
Nuh-uh.
I'm going to ask you, Michelle, can you bring up 1783, please?
The first piece of evidence.
I'm sorry,
What number?
defendants 1783?
1783, thank you.
Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
Do we get to see the picture?
That's what it is.
It's a picture of my face with a note that Johnny left for me by the coffee. Typically is where we'd leave notes like that.
And does this accurately depict the scene?
Bro, show me the picture.
It was one of those scenes
Bro, she just described it.
Yeah, but I want to see it.
as embarrassing as it sounds now, I don't know which scene this came from. There was a lot. It escalated quickly, fast, and became.
Amber, let me ask it a different way.
Thank
you. Is this a picture of you? Is it an accurate picture of you?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of 1783.
Your Honor, we have an objection. May we approach?
Oh, they're going up to the judge.
Ooh, our first objection.
I really want to know what Johnny Depp is doing. Because whatever he's doing, he's been like hardcore focused on it for like the past hour.
Oh, yeah.
I also really like his lawyer's tie. You see how bright purple that was?
I missed it.
Now when he
I'm
turns
sure I'll
around,
see
you'll
it when
see.
it turns around.
Yeah. This is exhilarating. Oh, and by the way, bro, he's not drinking tea. He's drinking Evian water.
Is it Evian or Evian?
Whatever you want. Evian.
I would say Evian.
Oh,
Bro.
they're coming back. They're going back to the seats.
Oh, I see the tie.
Please describe for the jury some of the cycles you had with Mr. Depp through 2012.
So in 2012, the violence was pretty, relative to what it became, pretty, slapping, backhanding. Well, it went from this eggshell kind of, you're walking on eggshells, nothing you're doing is kind of right, but you don't know what you're doing wrong. And then I was doing something wrong clearly, but it was unclear within the scope of an argument what I was defending myself against. So it would shift from a rumor he had heard that I was with a friend, or I had been photographed standing too close to a male person. That was a person I had had something with, and I was lying to him about, and it would be eggshells, accusations, and then he would explode. It started with throwing things, destroying the property, and screaming at me. I remember the screaming at me was the worst, because I kind of always felt like I had done, I had to defend myself. I had to tell him so he didn't think these things were true. And sometimes, he would shift accusations while I'm trying to dispel one accusation. He'd start another one, and nothing I could do to calm him down. It seemed like I'd walk away, and that would make it worse. I remember in my apartment in Orange, he would grab me by the hair, or he'd grab me by the arm, pull me into him, scream at me that way. He'd smash things around me. Then he would smash things very close to me. And then he would just hit me. And it started with slapping, and it got to be like repetitive slaps where he'd hold me in a position and slap me multiple times in a row.
All she would need would
then
be
it would
like
be-
a single photograph
You know, eventually I
of
later
just
would either
proof
push him off of me or I'd try
of
to
a
get his
bruise
hands
or
away
a
from me.
cut.
I tried to, not in 2000.
Well, I think she has stuff like that, like where she's been out in public. But when it comes to like bruises and cuts and stuff, you can fake that with makeup.
Or there could be an alibi against it where it's like, oh, she tripped on the stairs, or like,
Something.
yeah.
I don't know how she would have proved it, but yeah, all she would have needed was just like a solid piece of proof, or like if it happens more than once, just turn your phone on. Just record the audio of it. Boom.
Yeah.
Concrete evidence.
Put like nanny cams in your home or whatever.
Yeah.
2012 so much. At that
Get
time, I
yourself
was
a
mostly,
ring.
But like everywhere.
My defense was I'd go some other place. Like I don't know how to describe that. It was I'd focus on something else. I'd stand up, look at him, try to stand up to him that way. Later I adopted other kind of strategies to deal with it, but at the time in 2012 it was he'd have this blowout and then he would leave, disappear, and I'd be committed to not talking to him. I'm done with this relationship. I can't take it anymore. I said that so many times. And then he'd come back, clean and sober, telling me either he had a chip. He didn't have any chips, but he would say, I've gone to meetings. I have a sober companion now. I'm doing this program. I'm reading this. I'm doing this. And he was done with drugs and alcohol for good this time. And he'd come back in my life, and with the combination of him being sober and having gone through this horrible thing where I felt like my heart ripped out of my chest, you know, like a relationship ending is hard, I think, for anyone, but ending under that circumstance is really painful. And so when he'd come back, it would almost feel like a solution to that. And it would feel great, and we would be good again, and he'd be extra nice and extra apologetic and extra loving, and we'd be back in the good bubble.
So much rambling, bro.
And eventually it'd get bored, and then I'd see him drinking again. When I started
She's
to get
just
upset,
saying the same
noticing
thing.
Yeah,
the
like
pattern
legit.
of
Over.
He'd
violence
smash
going
stuff
with
and he hit me and he would
drugs, and
disappear and
then he
drinking and
started
drugs
sneaking.
and
So it became less clear, and I'd have to look for clues as to what he was on. So I just knew how to react, you know?
And did you confide in anyone about these issues you were having? I think she can
Objection,
say if
hearsay?
I think she can say if she told anybody.
As long as she doesn't say what she said.
Right, right. So did you tell anyone?
Yes, I did.
Who did you tell?
I told my therapist. I eventually told my mom.
And let's go ahead and take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 150.
Wow.
150.
Two very easy claims for her to make. Because if she said that she told her
Your
mother
Honor, I'm
about
going to
the
object on
abuse,
hearsay.
she could easily just tell her mom to say, like, hey, you know, lie to the court, tell them that I told you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pretty sure when it comes to therapists, like, there's some kind of, like, I forget what it's called, but it's like a legal thing where they legally can't disclose anything that they talk about in their sessions.
it's like doctor-patient confidentiality or something.
Yeah, something like that, where all of that, anything that would be shared with a therapist, cannot be used as a witness statement because it's like completely confidential between them two.
I don't know. I mean, I know that like with regular doctors and stuff, like you can't just go into a hospital and be like, hey, has this guy gotten this thing done? They can't just tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
that might be a thing. I think it's a thing.
Oh, they're going back to the stand. Fast forward. Are those jelly beans? Bro, he's...
Are those his?
Maybe that's what he's been coloring. He's been coloring beans. And I think he's probably been snacking on them or something. She did say that he smokes a lot, so maybe that's like he has to like he eats candy or something to keep his mouth busy or whatever.
What if those are pills?
What if they're tea capsules?
Tea capsules.
You pop it in your mouth and it bursts with flavor.
It's like a tea flavored gusher.
Defamation Part 2 trial.
Part 2.
This is another hour. Did you want to start this one or save this for like a part 2?
Let's say save it for a part 2.
Because not only am I getting super tired, but this is going to be a long clip,
Yeah.
a long video to edit.